Welcome to CAX Weekend 2020. The creative economy is increasingly recognized as a significant sector and a meaningful contributor to Africa's gross domestic product. The CAX Weekend event is a platform that includes conferences, exhibitions, creative expression, digital trade, e-commerce, D-room, venture capital, private equity financing, and master classes. We have made available an envelope of $500 million over the next 2 years to support the production and trade of African cultural and creative products. In closing, I would like to thank the government of Rwanda under the leadership of His Excellency President Kagame for the support they've given for this event. I would also like to thank the organizers of the event, Times Multimedia Group, led by the group chairman, Mr. Fidelis Hanosike, for putting up quite an exquisite program.
ITO Group is a vertically integrated company. We're in the oil and gas space in Nigeria, upstream, midstream, and downstream. We are also in power and mining, and the group holds significant strategic assets across Africa. We are a very small company, but support Africa very big. Today, I present to you that it is time for us to change the paradigm so that African art can become an asset class. If it becomes an asset class, yes, it will be able to attract investment and capital. I must add that this particular occasion that ITO is partnering gives us great delight because in the same continuum that we have, to be able to focus our energies. Our partnership should demonstrate to others that you don't have to be part of the sector to be able to support and invest in it. We hope that you'll have a very good time throughout this period and other CACs to come. Thank you very much.
Exhumer les connaissances que la spirale du temps efface la reine de Saba. Vie en moi, Makeda. Vie en moi. Oh 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 oh. Oh 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 oh. Oh oh. Oh 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 oh. Yep.
Government of Rwanda is pleased to host this forum. It's the right platform to discuss the past, the present, and more importantly, the future of the creative industry in Africa. With all combined effort, we believe that will strongly awaken the already awakening giant that we have seen coming up. I want to thank you very much and once again welcome you to Rwanda. Thank you.
Hollywood opened its doors and invited me as a member of its club. But ironically, Hollywood also showed me a way back home. History is the lens that we use to see into the future. Let's refocus that lens. The time has come to tell our story, our own story, to build our identity as people, and to prepare our precious young people for the future. So I'm pleading to you, to our rich African business people, to invest in a project where we start to digitize the history and heroes of Africa.
Why, when we do love so much things in Africa, it's difficult for our youth to become that dream? Education, infrastructure, the environment, the political situation, many different things sometimes are seen as obstacles to really get into contact and touch who you really are. What can we do for the youth who's dreaming? Not only about being an artist, because being a creative, you can be a creative in any different sector. The thing is, art needs a space. We have few spaces where art could be expressed in Africa.
Afreximbank is such a leader in this space, putting this together and realizing the true potential. Because whenever we talk with Afreximbank, it's about the sectors like manufacturing or continental free trade area agreements and so forth. I want to know what kind of commitment Afreximbank has to funding these industries, to helping create bankable projects, and how you see this playing out in the next few years.
Thank you very much. And let me start by saying that the CEO of Afreximbank just made a commitment of $500 million to the sector. That in itself is commitment. Later on in this program, we're going to be signing a deal to the tune of $190 million. That's why we're supporting CAX. And if you heard the president, CAX is not just about creative expressions. It's not just about a talk show. It's a couple of things to deal with the challenges that are facing that sector, the economy, the creative industry. It's a financing gap. So we're talking about deal rooms, doing deals, investment promotions. It's about the capacity skills gap. We've talked about the informality of the sector, the fact that they need to formalize and begin to become commercial organizations or entities such that they can tap into financing. So we have master classes that are going to be running. And you were in IATF 2018. CAX was launched in IATF 2018. Today, we have a number of success stories coming from there, from the creative sector.
Feel like El Chapo, Holy Grail El Chapo. Feeling like El Chapo, Holy Grail El Chapo. Patron, patron, patron. Ain't nothing that can happen. Cause every hood that I go, I'm rolling with my chopper.
The vision we have is one that will make it possible for any producer of anything, be it music, be it movie, be it painting, to be able to upload it there, no matter how good or bad it is. And anybody who wants to buy African art can go there. But if you are in Africa, you don't need to go and look for dollars or pounds or euro or yen or yuan to buy it. You use your Rwanda franc or use your Zambia kwacha or Egyptian pound to buy it. But we are not going to determine whether this is good or bad. You put it, the market will tell you whether it's good or bad.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be, price creation essentially. It's unbelievable, ladies and gentlemen.
Most of the people in the banking sector need to understand, at least from the environment that I come from, that we have no faith and we don't believe in the banking sector. So once you hear a bank, whether it's an international bank or it's a local bank, You're scared to go in there because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know whether you're wasting your time or not. That's one thing we need to be able to accept, at least from Nigeria. From the rest of Africa, it's different, I suppose.
And when we're home, I wonder, why is it that I cannot get the same kind of support? Why is it that I have to get it outside of Africa, which is the most frustrating thing, because we have the power, we have the content, we have everything that we need, but for some reason, we're getting more support from out than within. So is it a lack of faith that we have within ourselves, or what is the actual issue? So back home, I would say in Kenya, that is something that we're dealing with right now, because we're getting a lot of support from outside, but we're not feeling it inside.
For Africa, to see the Africa we want to see in the next 20 years or more, there's got to be where we have to now understand we all have the duty to be part of the change and focus on seeing the growth of Africa.
The truth of the matter is, the reason why Africa is not competing with the rest of the world is because we actually do not have structures. So I want to appeal to people who want to actually invest before we start to really run after all the content. And content is good, don't get me wrong. But can we quickly go back to the grassroots? Can we quickly go back to the foundation and actually start to put structures on ground? How many screens do we have in Africa? You bring out a movie today and you really want to compete with how many screens? So you're going to overwork yourself, because then how long do you want to keep that movie in the cinema before it's kicked out?
Never see me coming through. Emergency, you never see me coming through. Emergency, you never see me coming through. Emergency, you never